All right, guys. Thank you for joining us at Cyber Business Today, L7 Solutions, managed IT provider, for another Friday briefing. Um, those of you who are joining us live today, I want to thank you for joining us live. Those of you who are watching the recording, we appreciate you stopping by. We hope that you learn a little something. Um, and those who are live today, I just want to remind you that we are in the chat during the presentation. So feel free to ask any questions, and we will definitely try and get those answered for you. We will have moderators in the chat as well to monitor that and answer any questions that you might have. But just want to say today's August 1st. Our briefing today is another cybersecurity briefing, but it's a really important cybersecurity briefing. And what I'm going to do is let me just take you over to our first slide. And so basically what it comes down to is I put in big letters there. This is serious, and it's why every business needs a proper security package. And today is really more about understanding than anything. And you might ask yourself, well, what do you mean by understanding? Um, it it boils down to understanding that you're probably not safe. So, I mean, I'm just going to put it in real terms. You're probably not safe. Today, I'm going to show you some things that you may not have known existed. Um, some of it may actually scare you. If it doesn't, mm, maybe it should, because it's just the tip of the iceberg. And what I'm going to show you today, every script kiddie knows how to perform some form or fashion of what you're going to see. So let's sit back and take a look at what what the possibilities are and what is capable of happening out there. So the first thing we need to take a look at is um, we need to kind of understand or understand the role of cybersecurity. So gone are those days where the simple passwords, worked, and that was all we needed. The methods and how hackers breach your network are vast and truly highly sophisticated now, whether it's done through social engineering or physical hacking. The techniques are really effective, and many times businesses have no idea that they've even been breached. So it's important that we understand that this the the hacking is a business, and hacking makes money for those attackers. If you take a look at the stats that we have here, it says 81%, uh, there's an 81% increase in attacks since 2020 of businesses. $4.35 million. And that's the average breach cost. So the average cost of data breach for businesses in 2023, 43% small businesses were targeted in some way. Those small businesses were targeted. So percentages, and that's the percentages of cyber attacks that specifically targeted small businesses. So that idea of I'm too small, they're not going to attack me. Yeah, well, we've got a little story about all of that. Um, but 60% of businesses fail within 6 months of a significant cyber attack. So the numbers tell a sobering story, as it says here. Cybersecurity is no longer a luxury or an afterthought, it's a fundamental business requirement. Organizations must recognize that the question isn't if they'll face an attack, but when and how, and prepare for those attacks. Now, there's something that I want to show you. Um, Within the world of cybersecurity, there are all sorts of little tools and things that we see. But let's take a look at this. So what you're seeing here is a map showing the actual attacks that are presently going on. It looks like a lot, right, folks? It is a lot. Countries are attacking other countries, and this is the new warfare. Cyber attacks are the new warfare. So if we take a look here at this map, you will see here over, if we go over, oops, to the US, there, okay. So over here on the side, you see things like top scanned UDP ports. So 5060 are your SIP phones, your IP phones. Port 80, the Port 80's websites, Port 443, I believe, is on here, websites, and you've got SSL that's attacked. You've got what's really interesting is, let's see if we can get up to that. If we see the top attackers, the United States is presently ahead. We're attacking more countries than others. China is right behind us, followed by the Netherlands, Germany, and Singapore. Now, who are the top countries being attacked? Switzerland. Maybe it has something to do with those Swiss bank accounts. You know, people are storing or keeping their money in, but right behind that is the United States. We're typically in the top 2 or 3 attacked countries constantly, and so what that's really telling us is that there are a lot of attacks that are taking place from the U.S. and against the U.S. And so we have to be aware of that and realize that that cybersecurity is real, and we have to look at it as real. I'm going to play a little something for you here that kind of gives you an idea of truly what's going on out there. It's just loading here for a moment, guys. 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go.
One group of cyber experts says that billions of passwords have been compromised. As we get word of another major leak, and ABC's Phil Lipoff is right here following this story. Hey, Phil.
Well, good morning to you guys. This is a little bit scary. We all have been compromised at some point. Cybersecurity experts claim that as many as 16 billion with a B login credentials have possibly been leaked, giving criminals unprecedented access to accounts consumers use each and every day. Cyber News is this company, publishing a report this week saying it recently discovered 30 exposed data sets. But 16 billion exposed passwords, if you're doing the math, would be 2 for every person on the planet. And Cyber News itself admits many cases may have been counted more than once. They don't know exactly how many people have been affected, but people have been. This comes as some companies have separately reported unrelated cyber incidents. The latest company to get hit, insurance giant Aflac, which insures millions of policyholders. The company says last week a cyber attack was identified, shut down within hours, but until the review is complete, it won't know how many people have been affected. Sensitive material material that could have been taken, claims information, health information, social security numbers, and other personal information. And earlier this month, you might remember, United Natural Foods, the primary food distributor for Whole Foods, was attacked. And, well, it had to take some systems offline, which temporarily affected the company's ability to fulfill orders, in turn leading to some empty shelves in stores. Here's the thing. If you think your personal information has been compromised, experts say first thing you need to do is change your passwords and then take advantage of the free credit monitoring services that are often offered to victims by companies when something like this happens. Guys, just happened to me. I got a letter, 2 years of free credit monitoring.
Wow.
So just take
You'll
advantage
take
of it
yeah.
when it happens.
And that number 16 billion, we're all like doing the math. Like, wait a minute.
We all have multiple passwords and things like
yeah.
that. So
it's important to remember. Phil, thank you.
So that really kind of tells you that there's a lot going on when it comes to cyber attacks, and so we really need to make sure that we are taking it seriously and doing our due diligence when it comes to cyber attacks. Now, we have to understand the cybersecurity risk assessment, because if there's one thing that you can do as a business owner, it is actually having a cybersecurity risk assessment. Now, a cybersecurity risk assessment is the foundation of any effective security strategy. This systematic process identifies, evaluates, and prioritizes risk associated with your organization's your information systems and data. The primary goal is to understand potential threats and vulnerabilities that could impact the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of your information assets. So, how does it go about doing that? It provides proactive defense. So, identify and address vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by malicious actors. Regulatory compliance. This is what it helps you do. It helps you meet industry standards and regulatory requirements, such as GDPR, HIPAA, PCI. Resource optimization. It guides the prioritization of security investments based on actual risk rather than perceived threats. And incident preparedness. Okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but you've got to be prepared. Enhance readiness for potential cybersecurity incidents by identifying critical assets and developing specific response protocols before an attack occurs. Now, a comprehensive CSRA provides businesses with a clear picture of their security posture and a roadmap for the improvement. Guys, without this assessment, it may waste resources addressing the wrong threats. So this is why you need a cybersecurity risk assessment. And I don't care if you're a small business, if you're 8, 9, 10 people, or if you're 200 people. You need a cybersecurity risk assessment to determine the holes that are in your business, and whether and it's something that should be done once, if not twice a year, because things constantly change within your business. Whether you get new equipment, whether it's firewalls, whether you get new systems, you bring in a new vendor to deal with something as simple as an AC unit. Okay, many AC vendors will ask for a system inside your business that they can remote into. Well, now guess what? You've created another possible point of attack for a hacker. Okay, and so we have to be careful when it comes down to what we allow and how we allow access to our network. Now, the cybersecurity risk assessment process, okay, is a systematic approach. It involves asset identification, threat identification, vulnerability assessment, and impact analysis, meaning how is it really going to affect you if it happens, risk evaluation, mitigation planning, and documentation. That documentation is extraordinarily important. Okay, so we at L7 Solutions, when we perform cybersecurity risk assessments, and just a little something out there for you guys. Any customer of L7 Solutions is getting a free cybersecurity risk assessment each year, if not two or three of them. We actually constantly run it on ourselves and on the work that we do for customers, because not only do we want to check ourselves, we want to make sure that our customers are protected. And so a true comprehensive cybersecurity risk assessment, and that's the key word, comprehensive. So anyone who tells you that they're going to do a cybersecurity risk assessment and it's going to take us a day and a half to do it, don't believe them, okay? Because these assessments take days. But it's going to be minimum, and this is if a company's rushing, okay, rushing to finish it, it's going to take minimum 15, 16, 17 days. Okay, so this is not an assessment in which is a quick, let's plug in the laptop and run a quick scan and voila, oh, here are your vulnerabilities. No, there we determine if you have people within your company who are using AI, and you have a policy that says, hey, we don't allow people to use AI. Well, guess what? Susie and Joe and Bill, they're already using AI, and they happen to be putting your information out there on the web because it's being used publicly as versus privately. But by the way, are you using AI in a way that is public or private? Do you know? These are all things that getting with a managed service provider are going to help you determine if you're doing, and we're going to help you uh, kind of get yourself back in governance and compliance, which is also part of a comprehensive CSRA. So some people say, well, I'm small, so it won't matter. If it, for me with cybersecurity, I don't see the need. I've heard people say, I don't see the need for cybersecurity. Well, size doesn't matter. And it's why all businesses need that CSRA, because size doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the hacker in the sense of they will attack anything. But when you are looking at it as a small business owner, you have to think about it like this. If I'm a hacker, do I want to go after the really big company that, probably has all the security in the world? They've got the IT staff, they've got the best firewalls in the world, they've got, competent help to manage those firewalls. They've got people even monitoring whether or not there are attacks that happen. Or do I want to go after that 10-person office, 20-person office? Uh, Really, because small businesses in the US are considered 500 and under, but or even 100-person office. Do I want to go with those guys who probably haven't really invested a lot in security because they say things like, I don't feel that there's a need for cybersecurity. I haven't found the need for it. They feel like I'm too small. They're they're not going to bother with me. Well, here's the reality. For hackers, targeting business is often like a game show. They can work on door number one, two, or three, and potentially make $40,000 from a small accounting firm with inadequate security layers, or $15 million from a casino that decides to pay a ransom, or discover other valuable assets behind the metaphorical door number three. The critical point is that criminals don't discriminate based on company size. They follow the path of least resistance. to valuable data or ransom opportunities. It's interesting because there was a movie back in the day called 21 that I think kind of represents the mindset of a hacker perfectly. And I'm going to show you this real quick, and you can kind of see how um, how this actually um, how this actually does kind of represent um, hackers in a sense.
Very
So hackers strategically look at the companies that they attack. Do they want to bother with the big boys, the Caesar's Palace, the MGMs that were hacked not so long ago? Eh, if they've got the time and they've got a team, absolutely. But it's much more beneficial for them to take 10 small companies and make 15, 20, 40, $70,000 off of them because they're easier to attack and easier to compromise than working really, really hard for that 10 or 15 million dollars from a casino or a large business. So, why is it hackers specifically target small businesses? Low-hanging fruit strategy. So, with small businesses, uh, they are the low-hanging fruit. You typically aren't going to have the best firewalls. You typically won't have what we at what L7 here consider layered security. Um, in our environment, when we set up a network for a client, that network is um, is layered in a sense that we have a perimeter, and then there's a second layer that if it gets through the perimeter, it has to go through this second layer um, to attack the network. And then if it somehow makes it through that second layer, which that's not often, then it has to go through a third layer. And so you might think, okay, well, 3 layers, that's fantastic. That should be enough. No, sometimes that's not even enough. We've got a final layer that just says, no, nothing's coming through this. We would shut the system down so it cannot actually get our shut connections down, not the system itself, but connections down to keep it from getting into the rest of the network. So we take security extremely serious here, and so do the people who are performing these attacks. They take all of that extremely seriously. So as a business owner, you need to take it seriously, and you do what you do as a business owner, and I'm sure you do it fantastic. L7, as a managed service provider, we do our job fantastic. Hence the reason you need to get with a company, whether it's L7 Solutions or someone in your area. You get with a managed service provider, someone who knows how to handle and how to configure and how to set up all of these things that are necessary for you to have a secure business. Um, Other things that hackers specifically target when it comes to small businesses, it's risk versus reward calculation. Okay, so back to that um, the video in 21. That's using statistics and so on, but it's risk versus reward. And if they're given a clue that okay, this is going to be easier, this is going to make it easier for me to get what's behind door number one, then they're going to go that route because they figure, hey, let's go for the low hanging fruit. And then there's supply chain vulnerabilities. Uh, there's less security investment. So hackers are thinking you're not investing the money in security, which many of you aren't. Let's be real. Many of you are finding an excuse to not invest in the security of your business. Why? Why are you finding an excuse to not invest in the security of your business? Because the reality is it will cost you more in damages than if you pay for security for your business. It's also an easier ransom negotiation. Ransomware is real, folks. Ransomware is out there and it's prevalent. Uh, if you haven't been hit with ransomware, you've been very lucky. Many businesses in our area, uh, all over the world, have been hit with ransomware. Some of the largest companies in the world have been hit with ransomware. It is an easier negotiation for hackers with small businesses when it comes down to ransomware versus dealing with larger businesses. But what happens when you do end up in a situation where there is a ransom and your files have been encrypted and you can't get them and the backups have been destroyed? What happens? Typically, a lot of people will end up having to pay. You may be able to negotiate with hackers, but I mean, what's that like? Negotiating with a criminal, okay? So it does happen to large businesses. Here's a little proof.
Casinos hacked, 2 casinos demanded ransom, 1 paid, 1 refused. Which of them made the right decision? Let's get into it. The attacks on MGM and Caesars have littered the news for a few weeks now. I know we've covered it, but the more we uncover about these attacks and the financials behind it, the more questions get raised about how we are going to respond in the future. MGM, following the guidance of the FBI, chose not to pay the attack. The FBI's official stance on this cautions from paying because there's no guarantee that the victims are even going to get the data back, and you're going to reward the bad guy, further encouraging them to go attack other victims. Caesars, on the other hand, paid roughly half of the $30 million demand. They report that they've seen no operational impact in their day-to-day business. MGM, however, after not paying, saw disruption that wound up costing them $100 million. 2 casinos hacked,
So right there, it goes to show that when it comes down to ransomware, if you pay, you're out the money, and you may possibly get your data back and as that video showed, have no disruption. If you don't pay, then the hacker has a reputation to keep. Many of these hackers are not single, lone soldiers out there. They're groups. They're organizations that do this for a living, and they make very good money doing it. So to have someone not pay is a slap in the face, and they've wasted their time, and they're not going to let that go. So what do? They destroy your data. They get rid of your data, or worse yet, they sell your data. So think about what happens when your information and your client's information get out in public. They, if they can't get the 10 million, the 40,000, whatever it may be from you, then what they do is they put it out on the dark web. And believe it or not, folks, there's an Amazon of the dark web. They resell that information over and over and over and over again. And they will make their money. It just takes them longer. So they basically open up a little pop-up store type of thing and they sell that data. Whereas you could have possibly saved your customers that breach um, if you had paid that ransom. But the reality is you could avoid having to do that altogether if you put in a property security stack and you get with a company that can help you put in a property security stack. That's really what it truly comes down to. Forget, paying or not paying, or, what the FBI says, and so on. It truly comes down to you gotta you've gotta put you've got to build your network out in a way that makes it difficult for them. So the big companies, yes, they do attack the big companies, but they steer away from them because it's too much work. Guess what? If they come to a little guy that is 10 users, 20 users, whatever it may be, and then they find out that, gosh, this is going to be way more work than it's worth, what do you think they're going to do? They're not going to sit there and just keep going at it. They're going to go ahead and leave and go to the next little guy that is most likely going to not have that type of security in place. So it's important that you truly, truly consider your cybersecurity posture and look at getting the right things in place. So the type of attacks that you have to be concerned with, phishing attacks. I'm not going to read through all of this, but there's spear phishing, there's business email compromise, there's vishing and smishing, there's clone phishing, all sorts and types of phishing attacks that happen through email. Those are things that are put out there to, uh, for lack of a better phrase, bait you into clicking on a link that will compromise you or doing something that you shouldn't do. Some of the things might be those, oh, go out and buy the gift cards, and various things like that. So you have to be aware of those things. Wi-Fi and network vulnerabilities. Uh, that's the invisible threat. So I've heard with a lot of people that we've tried to sell cybersecurity items to that, oh, well, we've never been hacked. How do you know? How do you know that you've never been hacked? Um, Chances are you probably have been breached in some form or fashion. Maybe you didn't have any information that was worth um, the attacker really contacting you and really trying to pressure you for anything. Um, and then maybe you did. Maybe some of you have actually experienced the act of a breach and what it may have, or the damage that it may have caused. A lot of people look at whether or not they see tangible damage to their network as to whether or not they've been breached, and that's not always the case. Um, as business owners, I'm sure many of you do a lot of traveling, and traveling is something whether you're traveling, whether you're visiting a coffee shop, when it comes down to Wi-Fi hacking, you never know whether or not they've been in your system, in your network, or not. And here's a little something that kind of gives you an idea how this is something that you could never know that is actually happening.
How easy it is to hack into a computer. So this is my personal computer.
So in this attack, we will pretend to be a wireless access point that you normally connect to, let's say in a hotel. So if you go in there and you try to log into something called Four Seasons Guest.
Okay.
As you'd expect, it's, the Wi-Fi is around, you'd want to be able to connect to it, and a person who just arrived will think, I'm a guest, I should connect to the guest network.
Sure.
So now if you go to a website that you normally use, like Yelp.com.
Okay.
And normally what happens when you go to a website just after you've logged into a hotel network, it says, oh, please log in, you're a new user. So here it's asking for your room number and last name, which it would normally do. Right? And actually I can see your information show up here. And so part of the attack is that it tries to convince you that you need to do an update. Your machine is out of date and it's vulnerable. So you want to click on the download button because it's sort of convincing you to do this. And once you've executed, that's it. You already have been exploited. I can see it here. It says Aditya's MacBook. Let's say if I want to take a screenshot of your of your webcam, right?
Okay.
So I have a special command here for essentially accessing your little camera right here. So if I say execute, there we go.
I just saw a green light pop up there for a second.
For a second, but now it's already too late. And I already know what's going on around you.
Oh, wow.
There we go. This particular attack, it recorded the picture, but you can actually record the video. You can also record sound if you wanted to.
That's really disturbing.
You can execute things on the behalf. So what I'm going to try to do is actually open the calculator application.
Okay.
Here we go.
There's my calculator. It just popped up.
I can basically execute any types of commands I want on your behalf.
So, what can people do to protect themselves?
You should sort of be on the lookout for anytime you sort of do an action and then the computer asks you to do something on your behalf. Like, you downloaded something and said, hey, please enter your password. If you didn't expect that to happen, maybe you should kind of stand back a little bit and say, well, does it normally happen when I log into a Wi-Fi access point? Or if you are logging into a network and you didn't expect to be redirected to an update page, you should kind of stand back a little bit and say, actually, I'm not going to download this until I go home and I can trust my Wi-Fi.
Well, thank you so much. Great to see this.
Glad to have the opportunity to hack your machine.
Thanks.
So that little clip, folks, that clip right there, believe it or not, if hackers were doing that 7 years ago, imagine what they're doing now. Technology changes month to month. The capabilities are constantly changing. This was 7 years ago. Imagine what they're doing now. So we have to be careful when we're traveling, when we're visiting a coffee shop, when we're sitting in our homes. You don't know if the guy next door has an antenna that they are hacking your Wi-Fi, getting information, getting into your system that you're using at home where you think you're safe, and you are logging into your bank account. And now all of a sudden your information is out on the dark web being sold. So things when it comes to Wi-Fi and network vulnerabilities, you need to make sure that you're not using weak encryption. Okay, you're not using default credentials. That there's not poor segmentation and our invisible IoT, so Internet of Things. We spoke about that last week, but it's important that you take that security seriously. And so if you go into a place like a Starbucks, use a VPN. Listen, that's not 100% safe either, but it's better than using nothing. L7 Solutions, again, we put a lot of things in place to help our business users when they travel. We do things even as far as geolocation. Let's say that your laptop gets stolen, and the laptop's here in the U.S. and it gets taken to Mexico. Well, we could geolocate, or we could have it where that laptop can't even be used with in Mexico. So there are all sorts of things now that can be put into place, but you've got to get with the right people and work with the right companies to make that happen. So email security beyond encryption, or email security, I say, beyond phishing, I should say. So unencrypted communications can be a problem. Malicious attachments can also be a problem. Account compromises and business process hijacking. Those are all things you must be concerned about. And on those mail servers, things must be configured properly. Again, these are not things that you, as a customer, as a business owner, are going to know. You need to get with an MSP who knows and does this stuff for a living and can get this done properly to make sure that your business stays safe. Ransomware is the business existential threat. So the life cycle of ransomware is the initial access, the recon that basically takes place, the ransom demand, the data theft, the encryption of the files. So that life cycle, it actually goes to initial access, recon, data theft, encryption, and then the ransom demand. But those things, that's not something you want to happen, because when it happens, there's not a lot you can do. There's really not a lot you can do. You're going to have downtime. You're going to have to make that decision whether or not to pay a ransom or not to pay a ransom. And you've got to determine, will you be able to recover if you don't pay the ransom? And do you want to take the risk of paying and possibly not getting your data back? So all those things are things that have to really be looked at. Again, here's a list. Operational downtime is a concern. Recovery expenses are a concern. Reputational damage is 100% a concern. Regulatory penalties and legal liability. So protecting against ransomware requires a comprehensive approach that includes robust backup strategies, security awareness training, advanced endpoint protection, network segmentation, and detailed incident response planning. All things that, if you make widgets, you're probably not good at, but L7 Solutions is. The stakes couldn't be higher. For many businesses, a successful ransomware attack represents an existential threat. Now, the comprehensive security package. That package, and I'm just going to say again, I know I'm promoting L7 Solutions here, but this is what we do, folks. This is what we do. Governance, okay? This is all included in what we do. Governance, security operations, meaning monitoring, incidents, response, and threat intelligence. Okay, the governance is security policies, risk management, and compliance frameworks built out for you. Authentication, access management, encryption, endpoint protection. Pretty much every MSP is doing that. Okay, we do things that not every MSP does, and that's another thing you must realize, that not all MSPs are created equally. So you need to really take a look at what your MSP is doing for you, especially when it comes to the area of security. The network security itself, meaning the firewalls, the intrusion detection, segmentation, secure configurations. So when it comes down to the firewalls, are they just taking whatever firewall that you already had, including that little firewall that you had at Best Buy, that you picked up at Best Buy 3 years ago? If that's the case, you might want to keep looking, because an MSP, yes, they can work with any firewall, but as they are vetting the software that they are putting on your systems, they are vetting the equipment that they will put on your network to make sure that your network stays protected. So it's important that you work with a competent MSP. Now, essential technical components. I'm not going to read through all of those, but you guys can take a look at that. Critical procedural elements, and then the human factor protection. Now, the human factor is, in my opinion, probably one of the most dangerous because ransomware is just not gonna, stroll by your business and go, hey, let me hop over into that business. Ransomware usually is going to be, it's usually going to enter your business by someone clicking on something. I've seen it where someone's clicked on a resume. Uh, Strangely enough, the resume asked for a password that the person gave them in the email. Okay, this is where the human factor comes into play, and the human in that situation needs to say, I just got an email with a resume that they gave me the password in the email that they just sent me, and the password is to open their resume. Sounds strange? If it sounds strange, it is strange. Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Okay? So a resume, something like a resume that's sent to you, even though you have been putting out feelers out there to get employees, if they're sending you a resume and they're sending you the password, don't open it. Just don't open it. It's not real. It's phishing. It's most likely something like ransomware. And in the case of that user, guess what? It was ransomware. Now, luckily, they had backups. They were able to get most of their information back. But again, the human factor, being more aware and actually recognizing this looks strange. Because here's the thing, things like that, we have to think maybe we can go that extra step. If that email comes in, what could have been some of the things that user could have done? That user could have said, okay, this person, oh, here's their name and their phone number. Did you just call, you could call them up, did you just send me a resume with a password? Uh, and you emailed me the password? Now, you have to kind of think in that office, whatever it is, whether it's a CPA firm, law office, or something like that, is that the person that you really want to hire anyway? I mean, someone who sends a document and then puts the password for the document in the email that they're sending the document in, probably not. Um, so we have to improve that human factor, and we help businesses with that as well. So benefits of proper cybersecurity investment: you get business continuity, you get customer trust and loyalty, you get the regulatory compliance, which is super important, and competitive advantage over the others in your vertical. So those are key things to consider when you are implementing a proper security package. So you get the regulatory compliance, as I mentioned, which is a legal imperative. Um, I'm not going to go and read through all of this, but I am going to leave it up on the screen for you. You can take a screenshot if you'd like and read through some of that. Now, implementing the cybersecurity strategy. So there's the security assessment, which includes all that you see here, your risk-based prioritization, fundamental security implementation, and then the maturity development. And that maturity development is very important because things are constantly changing in your business. So that cybersecurity risk assessment is a key portion or key segment to that, in which it gives you the information and says, hey, okay, since our last cybersecurity risk assessment, we've had this change. We've got a new firewall. Now we're allowing this in. We're not allowing this. All of those different things that may come up. So with all of that happening, it now gives you a new look that your IT company can now say, okay, we're seeing these holes. We need to fill those holes. we need to make sure that we're protected and not allowing certain things in or maybe even certain things out. Now, conclusion, security is no longer optional. Okay, it's not optional. The landscape has fundamentally changed. What was once considered an IT issue has become a critical business imperative that directly impacts operational continuity, financial stability, customer trust, and even organizational survival. The question is no longer whether your business needs proper cybersecurity measures, but how quickly and effectively you can implement them. So, key takeaways. Comprehensive protection is essential. Remember, size doesn't grant immunity. Because you're small does not mean that you are not a target. I'm going to argue against that and say you are the perfect target. You are the perfect target for a hacker who doesn't want any blowback from the attack that they are about to do to your network. And sometimes the attack isn't much of what you would consider an attack. The attack is just is simply recon. It's simply to gather information and get as much information as they can, whether it's about your company or whether it's about your clients, and sell that information. And if they want something from you, what they're going to do is come back and say, hey, I've got your information. I didn't get rid of anything, but I have your information. And what we're going to do is, if you want to keep us from releasing it out on the web and selling it, then you're going to need to pay us this amount. So what you should definitely do is get with, again, an MSP that can help you build the proper security structure. Now, security is an investment. It's not just a cost. So beyond protection, proper security measures enable business growth, build customer trust, ensure regulatory compliance, and provide competitive advantage in an increasingly security conscious marketplace. The time to act is now. Begin with thorough assessments of your current security posture, those cybersecurity risk assessments. Begin with those. You don't have to jump into, a major security package right away, but definitely begin with a cybersecurity risk assessment and develop a prioritized roadmap for improvement. But know that you have to improve because things are changing every day. Whether you build internal capabilities or partner with a security professional like L7 Solutions, the important thing is to start strengthening the defenses you have. Okay, and so guys, that's gonna end it for us today. This went a little longer than we normally go. We may actually cut this video up later and put it out there in some clips for you, but you can always I know typically we like to do 30 minutes, but this is a truly important thing, and so it required a little extra time today. And those of you who stayed in there and listened, we really appreciate it, and we hope that you got something from it, and you start to really take a look at your cybersecurity posture, because it truly is important. We've got it truly is important. So at L7 Solutions, we specialize in providing comprehensive cybersecurity packages designed to protect businesses of all sizes from evolving threats. Our approach combines cutting edge technology with strategic consulting to ensure your digital assets are secure and compliant. And that's truly our foundation. Our foundation is this cybersecurity, and and we love helping you with all of those other fun things like AI and building out the greatest cloud network around. But that security, folks, is truly the foundation, and you really have to take it seriously. So again, thank you for joining us. I know it went a little long this time. We typically do keep it short, and we will keep others shorter. But this particular thing is truly one of the most important things that you can do for your business. It's one of the things that if you do this properly from the beginning, it will save you so much money over the years. So, without a doubt, um, let's look at your cybersecurity. Reach out to us. You can get in touch with us at www.l7solutions.com. Our phone number is 954-573-1300. You can call, speak with any of our people who answer the phone, account managers, sales. We'd love to talk to you. And you can email me directly at ktucker@l7solutions.com. I look forward to speaking with you. I would love to speak with you. I'd love to set up maybe a 15-minute talk with you so we can determine what your needs are, see if we can actually help you. But outside of that, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.